Hey church, welcome to this week's episode of the Lift Church Discipleship Webcast. We're hoping you're having a great evening wherever you're tuning in from, one of our 4.1 sites. We're in our new studio tonight, super exciting.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who made it happen. We're so grateful for the time, energy, resources, and effort that went into making this happen. And especially the Webcast team, you guys have been just amazing. And so hope you guys like it. We got a church plant.
We do have a church plant.
Because that's what we do. We plant churches, so we thought we should have a church plant.
Who's gonna plant this one?
Who's gonna? Is this plant gonna multiply?
Maybe.
Reproduce itself. Next week there'll be like maybe a big granddaddy fern or something.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for future episodes to find out. Oh man, our jokes are so lame.
They are.
Mostly my jokes are lame.
Yeah. My name is Tara, and if you don't know me, I serve on our network leadership team. Robin and I are here to bring you another episode of the Discipleship Webcast tonight. And if you don't know what the Webcast is, it's a tool that we use here at Lift Church to just bring unity to all of our sites and kind of just continue on this crazy journey as a disciple maker together. So, Robin, what's coming tonight?
Tonight we're back into Missional Living Everyday Practice number 4. We are talking about open home. Open home. So I'm really excited about talking about that. This is something we've been grappling with as a church, and so I've been looking forward to this episode for months. I think it's going to challenge some people. I think it's really going to get inside us a little bit. So let's go on a journey together.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So as always, we would love to know where you're tuning in from tonight. So feel free to comment that in the YouTube chat. And don't forget to put your questions in there too during the teaching portion.
For sure.
Yeah. We also want you guys to record an intro video like the one you just saw. So you can just grab that video with whoever you're watching the webcast with and just say, hey, it's whatever your name is, and you're watching the Discipleship Webcast. And you can send that to graham@liftchurch.ca.
I think we had one this week too. Right?
Yeah.
So that was the York team, I believe,
Yeah.
hanging out with Ina and what's happening at York. Be praying for them, super encouraging.
Totally.
So maybe you recognize some faces in that video.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think it's time to celebrate.
It is. This is my favorite part of the week because it's the easiest part because there's just always so much good stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so, what are you celebrating this week, Tara?
I'm celebrating that we're in here, finally.
Yes.
It's been like 6 months, and so I'm really excited. There's power, we have lights, floors, doors, everything.
Walls.
Yeah.
It's the little things in life, you know? Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating that it's a project that our church really pulled together on.
Totally.
It was a team effort to make it happen,
Yeah.
and so some late nights for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Some long weekends, but we're here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We were gonna talk about different ways we could decorate it. So if you have suggestions on how we can make it more engaging or decorating, we'd love to hear feedback as we grow this webcast platform. So
For sure. And we also had a busy weekend at EMI.
we did EMI, which is our like a discipleship intensive to help accelerate people in the journey to become disciple-making disciples. It's an intense weekend. It was amazing. We had, I think, like 15, 16 people plus a bunch of facilitators. It was amazing. And stay tuned. We got the next one's coming up in January.
Yeah.
We're excited about this platform. We're just seeing God use it in really creative ways in people's lives as they kind of wrestle with, okay, wait, I'm actually called to make disciples. So it's been neat.
Yeah,
So.
that's really cool. And great segue, Simple Church.
Yeah.
We have some crazy numbers on Simple Church.
Holy smokes, what God is doing in our network through Simple Church, like, it just is blowing all of our minds.
Yeah.
I think you have some stats, Tara.
Yeah, okay, so across the whole Lift Church network, we have 44 Simple Churches. Take that in for a second, 44. Of that, so we have 14 district leaders who are helping care for all of our Simple Church leaders, which is just like amazing. Then we have 55 Simple Church leaders and 40 Simple Church apprentices.
Come on.
That's wild.
And one of the coolest parts is that we're seeing like really consistent engagement in Simple Church.
Yeah.
Normally we see like this ebb and this flow, and it's holding steady. as we kind of going into the fall season. So that's so encouraging. So if you're a Simple Church leader, you guys are doing an amazing job. Keep going. I also want to just take a minute and celebrate Alex. Alex isn't celebrated enough. It takes a great deal of wisdom and patience and grace to lead such a large movement of people. And Alex is just doing such an amazing job providing wisdom, guidance, and leadership to our Simple Church team, along with our Vector directors and site pastors. And so if you see Alex, give him a big high five, because he's just doing an amazing job.
Absolutely incredible. It's awesome. So
this week we had a not I don't even know, because like we're going from like mega to like mega, but in like 1 or 2 people's lives. We had a bunch of people give their lives to Jesus over the last week. People that have no exposure to church at every single site. So in the last week, I've been able to visit every site, and man, it is so cool when people come to Jesus for the first time. And so. And that's, again, I think really just because of things like tabling, that frontline evangelism, and Simple Church. It's not because of our great programming, it's because people are encountering disciples. That's you guys. So
keep going. Those invitations are really important.
And it's amazing how the Holy Spirit can take a simple invitation and activate it in someone's life to see them made fully alive in Jesus.
For sure. And kind of the next part of that is baptisms. We get to celebrate baptisms kind of all throughout the month of October.
It's like baptism
amazing.
month. So if you're getting baptized this week at MAC, excited to see you there. It's going to be huge. And the rest of our sites are coming this month as well. So I think Guelph is also coming down to join us this Sunday. We got some people getting baptized there. So man, come on. This is amazing what God's doing in our church. So
good. Awesome. So we have a quick celebration story. That's going to be a video for you. So we're going to transition to that and listen closely.
All right, hey everyone, just Robin Waller, lead pastor of Lift here. I'm sitting down with Megan and Gray Reynolds, and we're just going to have a little chat about what they're up to and their part in our church family. So Megan and Gray, share a bit about your role in the family.
So I am currently the ministry leader of the strategic operations team here at Brock, and come the end of October we're actually transitioning to Lift Guelph, which is super exciting to be back with not only our family who lives in Guelph, but to be a part of the family that's starting up in Guelph. So we're really excited to transition to there and to be a part of the strategic operations there as well.
That's awesome. It's a big role. We really appreciate it. A lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. So, Megan, like obviously Gray is a unique and special part of our family. Like, what makes you excited about him being a part of the family, and what do you see for the future?
I think the most exciting part about being a part of the Lift Church family is just getting to have people who can support us throughout every stage of our life. So. When we got married, we had people here supporting us who had walked that path before us, and now having a child, there's people who have had children before us in the church who can guide us and give us advice, and even people who don't yet have children but who partner with us and can help in the path of raising him and making sure that he follows the path to hopefully one day become a follower of Christ. And just having a family that's not only our family of 3, but a larger family to raise him in.
That's awesome. And so obviously we have a long way to go in seeing Lift be more kids and that kind of thing, but thank you for helping break the ground and pioneer things. We appreciate it. We know it's a little challenging at times, but you guys have just carried yourselves with such grace and compassion and love, and we appreciate you a lot.
Thanks. Goodbye. Bye.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. We're going to jump straight into our teaching this week. We're in our third missional living everyday practice called Open Home. And where we get this from is Acts 2. We've been working our way through the Acts 2 passage, talking about how do we apply this to the mission of Jesus, seeing other people in our life be made into making disciples. And specifically, I want to look at this verse 46 of chapter 2 of Acts. It says this: every day they devoted themselves to meeting together in the temple and broke bread from house to house. It's really fascinating. Twice in the Acts 2 passage, it talks about the disciples breaking bread together, sharing meals together. It's kind of incredible. It takes the most mundane, ordinary, kind of basic parts of our lives and allows us and invites us to take those basic, simple things, our homes and our meals, and invites us to integrate them together to see people know Jesus. You see, in our culture, the home acts as sort of a place for personal refuge or private retreat. It's where we isolate ourselves from one another and from the chaos of the world around us. However, in a missional life, the home becomes the place for gathering those that want to hear about and know Jesus, whether they're believers or not yet believers. You see, the home lies at the very center of a missional life. It's a place where we can share meals together, lead people to Jesus together, pray together, process hurt together, and celebrate the joys of life together. You see, for the church in the book of Acts, the mission of Jesus wasn't something they added to their life. No, the mission was their life. Everything in their lives oriented around seeing people know Jesus. Following their example, we're invited to use every part of our lives as a tool, a means by which people can come to know Jesus. Living missionally transforms the simple, daily, mundane parts of our lives into powerful tools to be used for Jesus' glory. Our possessions and our homes, indeed our entire lives, do not ultimately belong to ourselves and not ours. Your life is not your own, your home is not your own, and your possessions are not your own. The truth is that our home may be a place for private refuge in moments, a place for spiritual retreat, but it's so much more than that. What if we were to view our homes from the perspective of multiplying discipleship and missional living? In the framework of the discipleship emphases that we're kind of working through, missional living is the one that is the most challenging for people in a lot of ways. You see, it's in missional living that we're starting to move from knowing the gospel and being transformed by it to actually applying that to the nuts and the bolts, the actual fabric and structure of our lives. And we get pushback on this, and I understand, because we're starting to actually say, hey, this is what it looks like practically to be a Jesus follower. Jesus' lordship of our lives doesn't allow us to segment faith and private issues off from a call to mission. All of our lives must be used for mission of raising and sending disciple-making disciples. Open homes are part of open lives. As disciple makers, we must live with openness and vulnerability. We must allow people to see our strengths and our weaknesses. An active Christian witness must include the ability for people to see who we really are. To see people know Jesus is not enough to just have them see some sort of refined projection of a perfect Christian. No, they need to see us as we really are in even our brokenness. You see, when we invite people into our lives, we're inviting them to see how Jesus' grace and goodness works even in our brokenness. It's in opening our lives up and through the power of an open home that we're actually inviting people to see how good Jesus really is. These ideas were partially influenced by a theologian and an author named Rosaria Butterfield. And she writes in her book, The Gospel Comes with a House Key, she says this. She says, radically ordinary hospitality, what we're calling open home, begins when we remember that God uses us as living epistles, and that openness and that openness or inaccessibility of our homes and hearts stands between life and death, victory and defeat, and grace and shame for most people. In other words, it's through the power of our homes, whether they're open or not, that we are inviting people to see who Jesus really is. Our witness is through our lives. One of Jesus' disciples, Simon, his mother was sick, and Jesus goes to his house. You can read about this in Mark 1, and I preached about it recently. And Jesus goes to Simon's mother-in-law, and he heals her. But something fascinating happens. When she encounters Jesus, she turns around and she begins to serve him, and she opens her home up to be a platform, a home base for Jesus to minister to the entire town. Now, I'm not suggesting that we literally have the entire town show up at all of our houses all the time, but it's this picture of how when we're raised to life in Jesus, even our homes, our most private parts of our lives become tools to see people know Jesus. Each of you is uniquely positioned to reach just a few people. There's a few people that only you can reach, or I hope there's a few people that you are seeking to reach that only you can reach. There are those that you can reach that I will never be able to reach. And when we think about our lives from a missional standpoint, our homes, apartments, dorms, and student houses are tools to invite people into a place of refuge for them to see Jesus. Our homes are raw, they're messy, and they're authentic. And as a result, they provide the perfect environment to expose people to the grace of Jesus, both those that know him and those that don't. See, at the heart of an open home is hospitality. Hospitality and opening our homes lie at the center of an effectively integrated missional life. The home is the home base from which a missional life is lived, which means the home, when it's open, is a tool for discipleship and mission. For example, many of us eat meals at home every week. What if we were to view those meals from the standpoint of an opportunity to invite people in, to join us for a meal? And this is super liberating, because what it means is that an open home isn't in addition to our lives. It's actually just living our lives with the intentional purpose of seeking to disciple people and see them know Jesus. It's part of our lives. To do this effectively means that we don't need to impress people. We're not inviting people over so that we can host them and entertain them. We're inviting them over so that we can know them. This means that we don't need to bust out the fancy china and the perfect meal and hope everything goes right. We're actually inviting people to just come into our lives as they are. If you've been to my house, you'll know that my house is often a little bit chaotic. I have 2 young children. And so when we invite people in, they come into our lives as our life is. And I hope what people see when they see that is that they see that our life is not perfect. Our life is chaotic, and sometimes discipleship is hard because it means that we don't always have time to keep our house as tidy as we would like. But what it means is that we have these beautiful opportunities to see people know Jesus. See, at the heart of an open home is the idea that we cherish and love people. Many homes in the Western world, if you walk in, they're centered around the television. The television is at the center of the home, and the couches all face the television. I think that's a picture of brokenness. We were designed to walk in relationship with one another. What if when we walked into homes, the couches formed a circle? And instead of looking at a TV and consuming, we instead were able to pour into people that are seeking to know Jesus and need a hand of encouragement and a word of prayer. I mean that little metaphor with televisions and couches, both literally, because I think there's a literal truth to it, but also metaphorically. What if our lives were open to receive people in? What if we arrange our lives so that we can see each other's smiles and tears, when we can help them navigate their hopes and their dreams? This means that our life, when we invite people into an open home, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy, and that's part of the joy. As Rosaria Butterfield, I think she humorously says this. She says, hospitality is necessary. It's necessary for an effective gospel witness, whether you have cat hair on the couch or not. Listen to this. People will die of chronic loneliness sooner than they will cat hair in their soup. Loneliness is one of the greatest trials that our culture is facing. And the power of an open home to see people know Jesus is the greatest tool that we have. And the best part is it's so simple. Now here's the thing, open homes are costly. They're profoundly costly to our finances, our schedules, and perhaps most importantly, our pride. On a practical level, when we open our lives up, when we open our homes up, it means that there's a generosity. We share our possessions. We allow people into our lives to use our stuff, to eat our food, and it's not a tit-for-tat kind of relationship. We do it because we're called to do it. We invite people into our lives because it's good to invite people in. This means that it will cost people. It will cost us. It has cost me to invite people into my home. But I don't know that you can put a price on the beauty of discipleship relationships. Secondly, open homes are costly to our schedules. Appointments and schedules drive most of our lives. And of course, I'm not suggesting that we don't have appointments and schedules. Schedules and appointments are important to establishing clarity and routine in our lives. But sometimes we can end up so overscheduled, even in our relationships. Hey, if you'd like to meet me, you need to wait 3 weeks and we're going to set up a date and it's going to be perfect. That we don't have space in our lives to walk through life with people in the middle of their lives. The call to an open home is the call to live a life with space for people. As those that open our homes up, that means that we have to be willing to be inconvenienced. An open life is an inconvenient life to your schedule. There'll be moments where you'll have to stay up late and cry with someone and pray with someone, drive someone home or help them move. An open life means that we are inconvenienced because we are here to serve others. This means that we need to sacrifice our preferred schedules, slow down, and invest in others. Discipleship is not convenient, nor is it always practical, but it is always good. The responsibility of a disciple maker is to willingly, eagerly, and joyfully give themselves to others. Lastly, an open home is costly to our pride. If we attempt to live our lives always perfect and in control and always projecting a version of ourselves that is put together, we will either inevitably fail in that attempt or we will exhaust ourselves in the process. The call to an open home is a call to live a humble life where people see us for who we really, truly are. And that is costly to our pride. The truth is that an invitation to an open home can be intimidating and scary. We are discussing how the private, even intimate moments of our lives can be used for Jesus' glory. And so if this is scary to you, I want to encourage you to start wherever you are. The process will require trial and error. You'll take a step, you'll fall, you'll go too far, you'll have to navigate it. It's a process. It's not about getting to the destination. It's about surrendering our lives one piece at a time to be used for Jesus' glory. The second piece of this is that every person has a different story. Not everybody is practically able to open their home up. It may not be your home, or you may have to share it with others. Part of the journey to an open home and an open life is learning to navigate it in your unique situation. That's not to lower the bar of the sacrificial call to an open home, but an invitation for you to contextualize it or figure out what that looks like in your unique and distinct situation. We must ask, how could I foster an open home or open life? We must find ways to make it work rather than looking for excuses for why it could never work. And so with that said, on open home, I've got a set of questions for you. Here they are. Number 1, do you tend to think of your home or living situations as a tool for discipleship? Do you watch TV or consume content maybe on your computer or by yourself while you're eating? Maybe even with your own housemates? Could you instead invite people to eat with you? Number 3, how many meals a week do you intentionally invite people not like you to join you? It's easy to invite your friends over. I'm talking about inviting people not like you. Number 4, does the need to be put together limit your ability to open your life up to others? What small steps could you take to shift your thinking? Number 5, do you think of hospitality as a sacrificial and costly discipleship tool? Number 6, is your private life something that would lead others to Christ if they were invited to see it? Why or why not? Number 7, Do you use your home to create a barrier between you and those you are discipling? How might you healthily remove that barrier? And number 8, how could you use your dorm, home, student house, or family home to reach those that only you can reach? I know that you guys have questions on this. I want to hear your questions. I've been wrestling with this. I know that a lot of you have been wrestling with this, so please get your questions in. We're excited to dialogue about them. We'll be back in just a minute for Q&A and some invitations from Tara. See you in just a sec.
Awesome. Well, we're back. Thank you so much, Robin, for that teaching on open home.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Definitely something that's challenging. But I think I'm looking forward to hearing the questions that you guys have. And
Yeah.
just
Come
to
on.
continue to wrestle with this and work through it together as a church over the next couple days, months, weeks, years.
I want to get into the questions. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so quickly, while you guys are sending in your questions, I have 2 invitations for you. First one, Graduates Brunch and Learn. So Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m., Binkley United Church in Hamilton. For anyone who is preparing to graduate and has graduated in the last 2-ish years, you guys are welcome to come on out. Really, it's just going to be a morning that's focused on how to live missionally in that transition out of school and into kind of the working world, or if it's grad school, and just to get you thinking like that. And so basically, really, really important and a crucial thing to be thinking about. So encourage you to be there if you're preparing to graduate or recently graduated. Second invitation tonight is our Vision Forward Gala. So that's coming up on our Vision Forward Gala is coming up on November 1st, 8th, and 15th, and that'll be happening in Hamilton on the 1st, Guelph on the 18th, Guelph on the 8th, and St. Catherine's on the 15th.
We're good.
And so this coming Sunday and Wednesday, you guys can grab an invitation from the welcome booth and take that home over Thanksgiving weekend. We really encourage you to invite someone to come with you to Gala this year. It's a really important evening and opportunity for us to invite people into our larger Lift Church support network and share with them what we're doing as a church and where we're headed. So that's Gala.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to encourage you, if you guys could be praying about what you could invest in Gala, that would be amazing. And if you're hearing this, that means you probably know something about Gala. Get your ticket and help us fill the seats. We're taking a huge step of faith. We're way out on a limb here. And so as a whole church, let's rally to fill Gala in 3 cities.
Yeah.
November 1st, 8th, and 15th.
Yeah. If you can make it out to the Guelph or St. Catherine's Gala, that would be just incredible. People are used to coming to Hamilton for Gala, and so we anticipate that maybe people won't think to go to the other cities. So if you could be the people thinking about doing that, that would be great.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so we are ready for questions.
Let's do it.
Number 1. Are you ready?
Let's go.
How do we maintain an open home during seasons of struggle, pain, and exhaustion when we typically want seclusion, rest, and isolated self-care?
Yeah, that's a good question. And for all the introverts in the room, I'm just going to throw let's just add introverts on there.
Yeah.
How do we do this if I'm an introvert and I think I'm going to kind of tackle this a couple different ways. I think the first piece is that when we're hurt and we're struggling, it's actually an invitation to open our lives up. We have a natural human propensity, which I totally understand, to retreat. But actually, as I was trying to articulate, it's in our hurt, it's in our brokenness. When we invite people into that we're actually exposing them to the grace of Jesus in our life. And it's really, truly incredible how that works. When people see that we're struggling, that's okay.
Yeah.
As followers of Jesus, it's okay to struggle, and it's okay to invite people into your struggle. In fact, it's one of the best and healthiest things you can do. So rather than retreat, actually open home is a tool given both to help you heal, but also a tool to help you continue to disciple others. Even in your pain, you can be an effective disciple maker.
Yeah.
That's the power of Jesus' grace. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be my first point. My second point would be an open home doesn't have to be completely exhausting. An open home is part of a simple life. A life lived in a natural rhythm where our life is inviting people into it. And so what I'd find is if you're looking at the exhaustion thing, instead of cutting open home out, are there things that you could simplify? Are there other areas of your life where there's maybe busyness that you need to potentially simplify? That combination of actually in our weaknesses allowing Christ to be our strength and demonstrating that to others and walking a simple life, I think get a lot of people a really long way on this concept of open home.
Yeah.
The other piece is that this is like a muscle. An open home is like a muscle, and a lot of us, our open home muscle is completely atrophied. It's not working. We've never used it before.
Right.
It's kind of like you go skiing for the first time. You're like, I didn't even know I could hurt in ways like that. And so that muscle is going to take time to exercise. It takes time to learn to open your life up. It will be something that you can develop over time. And so exercise that muscle. Start with baby steps. The goal isn't to be like, my door's open, here's the keypad, come in and eat my food today. That's probably going to overwhelm a lot of you. That's okay. Everybody take a deep breath.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think the invitation is to begin to practice that muscle, baby steps, and push yourself. In the same way when you go to the gym, you push yourself to lift a heavier weight, push yourself to lift a heavier weight in this way. And that's why I say it's going to take trial and error. So there's a lot there. And so some tips.
Yeah.
So practice, simplicity, and I think still invite people in.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great answer. Okay, so question 2. I live with 5 atheists and agnostics. As such, I feel like I only have 1/6 of the house to offer up. Any advice on walking the line between offering up my house and creating resentment in your housemates?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that's the kind of environment where I'm like, okay, you're definitely going to have to navigate a unique situation here.
Yeah.
What I would say is that I think the ideal situation would be a home for students. I would encourage students to in their simple church, start to think about how can we get a house together and use that, because I think that creates a lot of opportunity. Not to say that this is bad. I don't know that it's a lot trickier to navigate. And so I think ideally we would have homes of believers so that we can invite non-believers into that. Yeah. That said, let me speak specifically to this question. When you live in a house with tons of non-believers, your life, every moment is a witness. You have sort of an open home every moment of every day.
Yeah.
Your 5 or 6 people, they are the people that Christ has positioned you to reach. And so you got to be really careful to make sure that you're pointing people to Jesus. This is not to say that you have to be perfect, but it's actually to allow them and invite them in, even into your brokenness, your own struggle, and point them to Jesus that way. I think another powerful tool here is not to war with your housemates. You don't want to go you don't want to end up in a clash battle here. And so what you may need to do is to get that kind of that beautiful openness that we're kind of talking about. I think maybe see if you can leverage someone in your simple church, kind of say use their home as home base, and that would be a helpful tool. Obviously, you're not going to be able to. It's going to be weird if you're hosting like massive prayer sessions in your house and your roommates on board. So rather than fighting that battle, seek to point them to Jesus, and then see if you can find another home that's a bit more strategic.
Okay, question 3 is coming in. How do you make decisions about what to cut out in your life in order to make space for people? How to walk the line between spontaneity and ... people. Oh, loving. Okay.
How do you make decisions about what to cut out of your life in order to make space for people? And how do you walk the line between spontaneity and loving people? I'm not sure I understand the second half of the question, but how do you make decisions about what to cut out of your life in order to make space for people? That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think a couple things. The first is, I think, I've said this before, we weren't made to be consumers. I don't think that there's really all that much that's healthy about moments of consumption. And so I think a first starting point would be to start to chop those moments of consumption. They're typically not adding value, they're not helping our missionality, and they're probably making us kind of brain dead. And so look at those things. So that would be things like cut your social media, cut your Netflix consumption, maybe look at ways you're spending time on the internet. All those kinds of things are probably killing your time. I wouldn't cut legitimate hobbies. Those are really healthy. I think we were made to recreate, so leverage those kinds of things. But moments of consumption for sure. I think also seeking to, instead of scattering yourself across 50 things, try to choose 3 that you're really passionate about. And that's hard. I don't know your story, so I don't know which things. And so that's the kind of thing that I encourage you to wrestle through in the context of your simple church. How can I live a simple, integrated life so that people can be led to Jesus? And so...
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot to think about. Okay. If you have another question, feel free to send that in. We still got some time. And just to recap, your 2 invitations for this week are Vision Forward Gala, November 1st, 8th, and 15th. And Graduates Brunch and Learn happening Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. at Bankley United Church in Hamilton for anyone who just graduated or is graduating. You're welcome to come out, and we'll be taking a focused look on missional living and what that looks like for the season of life that you're in or entering into. Yeah.
Did you have any questions?
Do I have any questions?
While we wait for the last questions coming in?
What do you do when you maybe have ideas about how you could live your life and have open home, but maybe the people you're living with don't see those ideas in the same way? And so if you all have different ideas about how to do open home.
So I think part of this is we're going to go on a journey as a church. I think this is a new idea that some of our churches are just starting to wrap their minds around. And so I think the first thing is when you're looking for people to live with, look for people that actually share that same set of values as you, as much as possible. That way, that will help a lot. That means people at the outset will be on the same page. What I would say is open dialogue is crucial. Communicate. Keep that communication channel open with one another. And it may be that some people will be pushed and some people will have to slow down. And that's okay. If you're the person that's pushing, that's okay. But you also you may need to slow down to allow others to catch up with you. And so that's part of what grace looks like, is we work together to lead people into it. And the key to that working effectively is communication.
Yeah.
And one thing I would say is I encourage people to pick up Rosaria's book. It'll mess them right up.
Yeah, it's messing me up.
It's messed me up. I know Jeff's been reading it down at Brock. Laura's read it. Lots of people have. It's called The Gospel Comes with a House Key. It's a powerful, practical insight into what this kind of stuff looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. Grab it. Okay, we have another question. So, how do you practice open home if the things in your life
keep you out of your home a lot? I think that's what that was. We lost our screen there for a sec, so. How do you practice open home if you're not home?
Yeah.
So this is my story.
Yeah.
Like I'm out a lot. I'm not at home right now. I'm at the Rubik's, right? I'm constantly on the road. I'm teaching, I'm doing this and doing that. I'm running all over the place.
Yeah.
The key to an open home is actually an open life. And I think we must avoid taking that open home too literally. I think it is literal, it's practical, it's in the details.
Totally.
But I think it's also part of a broader open life. We're inviting people into our lives as those lives are. So in whatever you're doing, invite people in to it. However you can, whatever that looks like, invite people in. I understand in some cases that's not always going to be super possible. If somebody, for example, travels 50% of the time for work. I know we have some, like, for example, truck drivers in our church, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's going to be more of a challenging kind of environment to do this specific kind of teaching. But I still think you can be open with the time that you have. And the other part is, if you're married or if you have other housemates, you can encourage them to do it in a way that's appropriate. Obviously, when Laura's at home, we have different Laura, my wife, we have different boundaries around like what open home means. I'm not gonna have guys coming over to the house late at night when it's just Laura. Like, that would be super inappropriate. I think the other thing is this goes back to actually something at the heart of discipleship. And which is to have really intentional relationships with a few people. So rather than scattershotting your relationships all over the place, have really intentional relationships with a few, maybe 10, 15 people, and invest deeply into them. And you can do that even if you're on the road a lot or keeps you out of the home a lot. You can constantly be in touch. And so, and then obviously I would do the call, like, is there something you can do to simplify? So Laura and I have committed, even just for us, like, we needed to put it on the calendar. So we've said Tuesday nights is when we're committing to be home, and as much as possible, I've had to cut stuff. I've started to say no to things so that we can be home.
Right.
And that's actually hard.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of a painful journey for us, but it's been also really joyful, and to see how God has used that space to be a space of also health for me. It slows me down.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, thank you for leading the way in that and kind of modeling that for our church too.
Trying.
So, it's a journey we all walk together. Awesome. So to wrap things up tonight, just want to again remind you guys, Brunch and Learn is Saturday morning, and grab your invitation for the Vision Forward Gala. Take it home and invite someone to come with you this November. And that is it for the webcast. So take those questions, continue walking through them together with the people that you're watching the webcast with, and we will see you on Sunday at McMaster for baptisms, Brock for service as usual, in TH room something, and we'll see you on Wednesday at Mohawk. See you later, church. Be blessed.